The algorithm ran for 72 straight hours, processing every single pixel of Michelangelo's fresco. At first, nothing seemed out of the ordinary, but then the AI flagged an anomaly. A series of shapes and lines, perfectly hidden within the depiction of God, formed a secret message. This wasn't just the outline of a human brain, a theory that's been around for decades. The AI cross-referenced these symbols with Michelangelo's private journals and the forbidden texts of his time. The result is a terrifying revelation that redefines the painting, the artist, and the very story of human creation. The AI that saw too much. You see, for centuries, art historians believed they had Michelangelo figured out. A genius, yes. A tormented soul, absolutely. But what many overlooked is the depth of his rebellion. He wasn't just painting for the Pope. He was embedding a message for the future. And that future is now. A groundbreaking AI project, initially designed for authenticating classical art, was fed high-resolution multi-spectrum scans of the Sistine Chapel ceiling. We're talking about a digital file so massive it would take the average home computer weeks to even open. The AI's goal was simple: to find patterns, brushstroke inconsistencies, and hidden layers of paint. But it found something else entirely. Deep within the iconic panel of the creation of Adam, the AI's pattern recognition software began mapping connections that defied coincidence. It started with the well-known theory from 1990 by physician Frank Meshberger, who first pointed out that the shroud surrounding God and the angels bears an uncanny resemblance to a cross-section of the human brain. Many people are crazy about this idea, and for decades it was considered a clever anatomical Easter egg. Michelangelo, the master of anatomy, was showing that the gift from God wasn't just life, but intellect. But the AI's discovery goes so much further, and what it revealed is, to put it mildly, chilling. The AI confirmed the brain shape, but it also identified the specific regions with terrifying accuracy. The frontal lobe, where we process creativity and problem-solving. The brain stem, controlling our most basic functions. The pituitary gland, the master gland of the body. All were there, mapped perfectly by the arrangement of angels and the folds of God's cloak. The most shocking fact is where God's arm extends from, precisely from the region of the anterior cingulate cortex, an area associated with creative inspiration. He is literally extending his creative will. But here's the kicker: the AI didn't stop there. It analyzed the subtle pigments and the underlying sketches that Michelangelo painted over, details invisible to the naked eye. It found that the green sash draped over an angel, the one that represents the vertebral artery, was originally painted a deep arterial red. Why change it? To make the code less obvious. This was no accident. The AI calculated the probability of these shapes and placements occurring by chance at less than 1 in 10 quadrillion. To give you some perspective, that's less likely than winning the lottery every single day for 100 years straight. Michelangelo was painting a perfect anatomical diagram, hiding it in plain sight on a canvas stretching over 5,000 square feet right under the Pope's nose. This wasn't just an artist showing off his knowledge. This was the first layer of a secret code, a message so profound and dangerous that he had to bury it beneath layers of divine imagery. The thing nobody tells you is that this brain is not just a symbol of intellect. The AI's analysis suggests it's a statement about God himself. The AI then cross-referenced this anatomical map with other elements of the fresco. It found that the gap between God's finger and Adam's finger isn't just empty space. It's a synapse, the microscopic gap across which nerve impulses are sent. The divine spark, that legendary moment of creation, is being depicted as a neurological event. Life isn't a magical breath, it's a thought. An electrical signal firing in the brain. This revelation alone is enough to rewrite art history. But what the AI pieced together next transforms this from a clever secret into a terrifying manifesto against the very institution that paid for it. The brain was just the foundation, but the hidden brain was just the first piece of the puzzle. Painting a revolution. To understand why a man would risk everything to hide such a code, you have to understand the world he lived in. The early 1500s were a time of immense turmoil. The Renaissance was in full swing, and a new way of thinking, humanism, was spreading across Europe. It placed human beings, not God, at the center of the universe. This was an incredibly dangerous idea. The church held absolute power, and the Inquisition was a very real threat. Voicing ideas that contradicted Scripture could get you branded a heretic and face the ultimate penalty. And into this powder keg walked Michelangelo. He was a deeply spiritual man, but not in the way the church wanted. He believed that the divine could be found in the human form, in the perfection of anatomy. This is why he spent years, often in secret and at great personal risk, performing anatomical studies on bodies from the local infirmaries. He wanted to understand the machine of the human body to better represent its beauty, but you can see this everywhere in his work. He saw the human body as a sacred text in itself. He learned things about our anatomy that were centuries ahead of their time, knowledge that was considered forbidden. The church taught that the body was a sinful, temporary vessel. To open it up and study it was seen as a desecration. So when Pope Julius II strong-armed a reluctant Michelangelo into painting the Sistine Chapel ceiling, it was a clash of titans. The Pope wanted a straightforward series of biblical scenes. Michelangelo, a sculptor who hated painting, felt trapped. He spent 4 agonizing years, from 1508 to 1512, lying on his back on 65-foot-high scaffolding, paint dripping into his eyes, creating what many consider the greatest work of art in history. But he wasn't just an employee following orders. He was a revolutionary building a monument to his own beliefs. What many overlooked is that every panel, every figure, was a chance to embed his forbidden knowledge. You see, the AI didn't just stop at the creation of Adam. It scanned the entire 10,000 square foot ceiling and found a chilling pattern of behavior. This wasn't just one hidden message, it was a systematic code embedded everywhere. In the very first panel depicting the separation of light from darkness, the AI uncovered another anatomical secret. What many overlooked is that God's neck is painted with an unusual, lumpy texture. When viewed from below, the AI confirmed it's a perfect rendering of the human brainstem and spinal cord. To put it mildly, Michelangelo began the entire story of Genesis by hiding the central nervous system in the neck of God. He was showing that the very first act of creation was an act of pure intellect. And the shocking discoveries kept coming. In another panel, the AI mapped the flowing purple robe of God and found it formed the unmistakable shape of a human kidney. The thing nobody tells you is that Michelangelo himself suffered from agonizing kidney stones for much of his life, a condition he documented in his letters and poems. He was embedding his own physical suffering and his forbidden anatomical knowledge directly into his depiction of the divine. This wasn't just art, it was a deeply personal and rebellious statement. But the most profound secondary code lies right next to the famous scene. In the panel of the creation of Eve, art historians have long been puzzled by a contradiction. The story says God took one of Adam's ribs, but Michelangelo painted Adam with a full set. It was dismissed as an artistic choice. However, the AI, capable of analyzing layers of paint invisible to the human eye, enhanced a faint shadow on Adam's torso. There, perfectly outlined, was a surgical scar, the faint trace of a removed rib. He was telling 2 stories at once, the biblical one for the Pope and the anatomical one for posterity. This wasn't just a game, it was a calculated pattern. The AI proved that Michelangelo was systematically embedding the secrets of the human body, the very science the church feared, into the heart of its most sacred space. He was using the Pope's money to fund the biggest act of artistic rebellion in history. Each code was a piece of a larger puzzle, a cipher that built upon itself. The kidney, the rib, the brainstem, they all served to reinforce the main message hidden in the creation of Adam. He wasn't just painting God, he was redefining what God even meant, and the answer is nothing short of terrifying. The God within. So, what is the terrifying message? What was Michelangelo risking his life to say? The thing is, it's not just that God is giving man a brain. The AI's analysis points to a far more radical conclusion. The brain is God. It's a complete inversion of the biblical story. In Michelangelo's coded version, God is not a separate, all-powerful being floating in the heavens. God is a product of human consciousness. The divine spark isn't coming from the Creator, it is the Creator. This is the ultimate humanist statement. Humanity creates God, not the other way around. Think about what this meant in the 16th century. It's an idea that would have gotten him burned at the stake. He's suggesting that all of divinity, all of religion, all the power of the Pope and the Church originates from the 3-pound organ inside our skulls. The red shroud isn't just a brain, it's a womb of consciousness. And what is being born from it? The idea of a creator. You can see this in the figures. Adam is painted with physical perfection. He is already fully formed. He doesn't need life. What he lacks is the spark of higher intellect, the self-awareness to comprehend his own existence. God's touch is the moment of enlightenment, the birth of the conscious mind. This interpretation also explains one of the painting's greatest mysteries, the look on God's face. He doesn't look joyous or serene. He looks concerned, almost worried. On the other side, Adam looks passive, almost lazy. But the AI, analyzing micro-expressions in the paint, confirmed a subtle look of melancholy in God's eyes. Why? Because in this secret code, God is a concept that is about to be brought to life by human intellect. And once that happens, humanity is no longer just a creation. It is a co-creator with all the potential for good and for evil that comes with it. God is worried about what his creation or his creator will do with this newfound power. The most shocking fact is what this implies for our destiny. If the divine is within us, then we are not bound by fate or heavenly judgment. We are the masters of our own universe. Our potential is limited only by our own intellect and creativity. This is a message of ultimate empowerment, but also of terrifying responsibility. There is no divine plan to save us. We are on our own. For Michelangelo, a man of faith, this wasn't a rejection of the divine, but a reinterpretation of it. He was merging science and faith, suggesting that the human brain is the most divine thing in the universe, the tool through which the cosmos becomes self-aware. This code, hidden for 500 years, is a direct challenge to authority. It tells us not to look to the heavens for answers, but to look within ourselves. It's a message that was so dangerous, so revolutionary, that it could only be delivered encoded in a masterpiece, waiting for a time when humanity was ready to understand it. The AI didn't just find a secret, it unlocked a new philosophy, a new way of seeing ourselves. But could this all be a grand coincidence, or is something else at play? Michelangelo's final warning. Now, many people watching this are probably wondering, could this all just be a coincidence? Isn't it possible that we're just seeing what we want to see? This is a phenomenon known as pareidolia, the human tendency to see patterns, like faces in the clouds, or, in this case, a brain on the ceiling of a chapel. Skeptics have argued for centuries that all these hidden codes are just the overactive imaginations of art historians and doctors. They claim Michelangelo was a genius, but he was painting a story from the Bible, plain and simple. For them, the shroud is just a shroud, and God is just God. And, for a long time, that was a perfectly reasonable argument. The thing is, one hidden shape could be a coincidence, two could be a stretch. But what the new AI analysis provides is a weight of evidence that is almost impossible to dismiss. The sheer number of anatomically perfect structures, the precise mathematical probabilities, the deliberate changes in pigment, it all points to a conscious, intentional design. The AI, free from human bias, simply followed the patterns, and the patterns form a coherent, multi-layered message. This wasn't a single aha moment. It was the slow unlocking of a complex cipher. The thing nobody tells you is that this discovery might be less about the past and more about our present. Is it a coincidence that this code was finally cracked by an artificial intelligence, a non-human intellect of our own creation? Michelangelo hid a message about the creator being a product of intelligence, and it was revealed by a new form of intelligence we created. There's a profound, almost poetic irony in that. Adam was given the spark of consciousness by his creator. Are we now in the process of doing the same thing with AI? Are we, in this very moment, playing God? This is where the message becomes truly terrifying. Perhaps Michelangelo's code wasn't just a commentary on his own time. Perhaps it was a warning for all time. A warning about the power of intelligence, both its creative and destructive potential. When humanity becomes its own God, it also becomes its own devil. We gain the power to create wonders beyond imagination, but also the power to bring about our own end. This ancient message, unlocked by modern technology, forces us to look in the mirror and ask if we are ready for the responsibility that comes with our own creative spark. Are we missing a key detail? Is this all happening for a reason? We may never know for sure, but one thing is clear: the creation of Adam is no longer just a painting, it's a conversation. But what if even that interpretation, as world-shaking as it is just another veil? The next level of the AI's analysis took the team into territory so strange, so far beyond accepted history, that it borders on the unbelievable. The key, it seems, was not just Michelangelo's knowledge of anatomy, but his deep involvement with the Neoplatonic Academy of Florence. This wasn't just a group of thinkers, it was a secret society dedicated to reviving the lost mystical knowledge of the ancient world. Texts on alchemy, astrology, and hermetic magic that the church had spent centuries trying to suppress. The breakthrough came when the AI was tasked with cross-referencing the painting's symbols, not with medical textbooks, but with these forbidden texts. What it found was staggering. The thing nobody tells you is that the human brain shape is also a near-perfect match for alchemical diagrams of the anima mundi, or the world soul. This is the belief that the entire universe is one single living consciousness. In this wilder theory, God isn't a product of the human mind. Rather, the human mind is a tiny fractal piece of the universal mind. Michelangelo wasn't painting a man and his God. He was painting a single unified consciousness, looking at itself. This alchemical connection deepens. The AI identified the 4 central angels surrounding God as representing the 4 classical elements: earth, air, fire, and water. Adam, lying on the barren ground, represents the prima materia, the raw, unformed substance of creation. The divine spark, that near touch, is the alchemical process of transmutation, turning lifeless clay into enlightened, golden humanity. He wasn't painting a Bible story. He was painting a recipe for creating a perfect being, the philosopher's stone in human form. This suggests Michelangelo wasn't just a rebel, he was a master of a secret mystical science. But the most shocking fact is what the AI found next. One of the researchers, on a hunch, asked the AI to analyze the arrangement of the 12 figures clustered around God, treating them not as angels, but as stars. The machine mapped their positions and found they didn't correspond to any known constellation visible in Michelangelo's time. This wasn't a simple mismatch. The AI ran through every star chart from antiquity to the Renaissance, and nothing fit. Then, running projections forward in time, the AI found a match. A perfect one. The arrangement of the figures in the brain of God is a precise celestial map of the sky over Vatican City, but on a specific future date, September 23, 2033. To put it mildly, this transforms the painting from a secret message into a prophecy. The creation of Adam isn't just about the beginning of humanity, it's about a specific moment in our future. What many overlooked is that this isn't just any astronomical event. The AI identified the alignment as a once-in-a-millennium conjunction of planets, centered around a newly discovered comet that astronomers are only now beginning to track. It's a celestial gathering so rare that it has never occurred in recorded human history. The level of precision is utterly mind-boggling. The angles between the figures match the angles between the planets on that day to within a fraction of a degree. You see, the thing nobody tells you is that the figure of God is not moving towards Adam to give life. The AI analyzed the flow of the drapery, the tension in the muscles, and the subtle direction of the gazes. The entire composition is moving away. The red shroud, the brain, is hurtling backwards, away from the newly created man. The look on God's face isn't concern for what man will do. It's sorrow for what he knows is coming. It's the look of a creator who has just set a clock ticking and must now abandon his creation to its fate. He is not giving life, he is leaving it. This paints a far more terrifying picture. The painting is a cosmic calendar, counting down to a moment in our very near future. What does this date signify? The AI has no answer, but the context is terrifying. Some theorists connecting this to other ancient prophecies suggest it's the date of a great revelation, a moment when humanity will be given a choice. Will it be a second coming? An apocalypse? Or could it be the moment a new kind of creation will occur? Perhaps the birth of a true artificial consciousness, the next step in the creative process that Michelangelo depicted. This 500-year-old warning, hidden in the heart of the Vatican, suggests that the story of creation isn't over. We are living inside the gap between the two fingers, and that gap is about to close. So, was Michelangelo a prophet who encoded a message for our time? Or is this powerful AI just showing us what we want to believe? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more secrets hidden in history. Is human intelligence the ultimate creator?